discount per household.
A new warning from the FDA about reports of people overdosing on compounded semaglutide found in Ozempic and Wegovy.
That can lead to side effects like gastrointestinal issues, fainting, headache, migraine, dehydration, acute pancreatitis, and gallstones. Some have even gotten sick enough to require hospitalization. So bottom line here, the FDA says it is best to use only the official approved semaglutide medication.
ABC's Ariel Reshef. Stellantis will be offering buyout packages to many of its white-collar workers in August. The Jeep and Ram maker wouldn't say how many cuts are coming. A federal judge is hearing arguments in a lawsuit demanding air conditioning in Texas prisons.
A 2012 movie starring Jack Black told the story of Bernie Tita, a small-town mortician who murdered a woman he was caring for.
She doesn't have anyone. She's a very lonely person.
The real-life Tita later became a crusader behind bars and hired attorney Jeff Edwards.
The only public space in the state of Texas that is not air-conditioned is the Texas prison system.
At a preliminary injunction hearing, a judge in Austin today will hear arguments in that case. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Spirit Airlines is traditionally known as a low-cost carrier with add-ons, but the company's opening new business plan will take flight. It's going to start offering perks like tickets with free snacks or a checked bag. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
My doctor told me my blood pressure is borderline. I figured I could worry about it or do something about it. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. It works safely and naturally to help maintain healthy blood pressure with a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals. And it's odor-free. I'm taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
I'm Bill Walter, KVNU News. News brought to you by Logan Extermination. A 55-year-old Logan man already on probation for trying to extort and harass a woman has been arrested again for allegedly exposing himself, according to law enforcement. Kenneth Dwayne Romine was booked Sunday into the Cache County Jail. According to an arrest report, Cache County Sheriff's deputies received a complaint from a woman claiming she felt uncomfortable and scared due to the behavior of an individual who was renting a room from her. The suspect, later identified as Romine, had been watching a movie in the shared room of the home several weeks ago. The woman described how he was sitting on a couch and wearing a robe. As the movie continued, the woman noticed Romine had allegedly removed the robe and was inappropriately touching himself. The woman jumped up and left. At that point, the alleged victim told deputies that she had waited to report the incident because she was scared of retaliation or escalating the behavior. She also provided text messages with the suspect where he allegedly acknowledged upsetting her. Deputies questioned Romine, who denied removing his robe and touching himself during the movie. They later learned he was a registered sex offender. According to court records, Romine was convicted of lewd acts with a child under 14 years of age. The conviction occurred in California in May 1995. State officials are warning nighttime motorists in Smithfield to be aware of a construction project on Main Street through the end of July. State workers will begin a project to install a new median curb on US 91 in Smithfield. According to officials from UDOT, the new median will stretch from 800 south to 1000 south. That work is scheduled to be accomplished between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. on the evenings through Wednesday night. UDOT officials are warning nighttime motorists in the area to expect lane closures and delays of up to 15 minutes for the next couple of days. And a new poll reveals that most people renting today say the American dream of home ownership will never be a reality for them. The poll by CNN showed 86% of renters want to buy a home but say it is unaffordable right now. It also found that 54% said they don't think they will ever be able to afford home ownership. Those numbers are national, but they could be worse in Utah. According to Zillow, the average home price in the state is $522,000. A Bankrate study found that a first-time home buyer would need a yearly salary of $134,000 to afford a home in Utah. The state's median household income is far below that at $89,000, according to the Census Bureau. Soaring home prices combined with high mortgage rates have contributed to an affordability crisis in the national housing market. KVNU weather brought to you by Car Dolls. Are you spending a fortune to keep your home cool? Your home's insulation may not be adequate. Car Dolls is the #1 name in America for insulation. They have a location in Logan, and you may qualify for a tax credit up to $1,200. Call 755-7012. Areas of smoke tonight, otherwise clear, low in the upper 50s, and patchy smoke and warm temperatures on Wednesday, high around 90. Get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
If you are like most local residents, you have a huge influx of creepy crawlers invading your home. Right now, that nasty elm seed beetle is all over northern Utah. We have a solution for you. Call Logan Extermination today for a full exterior spray. Their full exterior spray includes foundation and eaves and will kill those nasty spiders, wasps, box elder bugs, and the new nuisance, elm seed beetles. Call Logan Extermination today for details. 752-8450.
Treatment areas vary. Call for a quote today.
News Talk KVNU.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your loved ones, you deserve the best. This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance, an Alera Group company. We believe that obtaining life insurance should be affordable and worry-free. As an independent auto owners insurance agency, we work with top-notch carriers to find the best policy for your unique needs. You can rest assured that you're getting the best coverage and the best price. Quality First Insurance, 435-752-0101.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Danes will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Dr. Danes for an appointment at 753-HERE and let him show you how.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Hi, John Weiss here. There's nothing better than summer adventures, but they aren't complete without a reliable Jeep from Heritage Auto to get you there. It's the perfect time to purchase one because right now is our Make This the Summer event. All month long, you can get $2,000 in bonus cash allowance and no monthly payments for 90 days when you purchase a 2024 Jeep Gladiator. See dealership for details. Don't miss out on the incredible offer. Stop in at Heritage Auto today, your hometown dealer with the biggest deals.
The Cache County Fair and Rodeo is August 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. The rodeo and the carnival both open on Wednesday this year. That's right, both get started on Wednesday. Get your advanced rodeo and carnival tickets online at cachecounty.org/fair. Rodeo tickets are also available at IFA or the Cache County Event Center. And there are a limited number of discount tickets for Wednesday and Thursday night's rodeo. All the fun starts Wednesday, August 7th through Saturday, August 10th at the Cache County Fair and Rodeo.
Come on out, let's have some fun at the Cache County Fair.
I'm Larry Gelwicks, the Getaway Guru. Join me on the Travel Show every Saturday at 11 a.m., and I'll tell you where to go and how to get there with the best travel deals on the planet, including how to travel more and pay less, free this and free that promotions, and insider secrets on what the airlines, cruise lines, and hotels don't want you to know, along with your call-in travel questions every Saturday, 11 a.m., right here on News Talk 610 KVNU.
You spend an awful lot of time in Massachusetts. Seems like every other week you've got a meeting waiting there. Business must be booming, or could something else be moving in the air up there? executive on his way up has got to play the part. And each time duty calls, you gotta give it all. You've got with all your heart. When whoever's in New England's through with you, and Boston finds better things to do, you know it's not too late, 'cause you'll always have a place to come back to. When whoever's in New England's through with you. I hear the winter time up north can last forever, and I've been told it's beautiful to see this time of year. They say the snow can blind you till the world you left behind just disappears. I hear I've packed your bags and left them in the hallway, but before you leave again, there's just one thing you ought to know. When the icy wind blows through you, remember that it's me who feels so cold most of all. When whoever's in New England's through with you, oh, in Boston finds better things to do, oh, you know it's not too late, and you'll always have a place to come back to. When whoever's in New England's through with you.
But the big question both left and right can agree on is what happens to someone after the benefits run out? What kind of position are we leaving them in at that point? Are they better off? Do they still have the problem, but now the money has stopped? It is a strange thing, to be honest with you. This is what Nick Dunn and Marcella Patino of Circle Salt Lake had to say about that.
First, because you have an experience of in recent years where you were working and you were also participating in some safety net programs, but you kind of felt stuck. And I maybe want to ask you to kind of tell your story. What did you experience and what was it like?
Yeah, being a nail tech, I did make a little bit of more money, and I didn't want to take that extra client or those extra hours because that did take away my food stamps or my Medicaid. So without taking that means that I can stay on these benefits for longer,
because it's
and that would be good for my family.
In 1 and 2.
And so you mentioned that you were working as a nail tech, so you had steady employment. And do you remember which programs you were on at the time as you were working as a nail tech?
Yes, I was on a Medicaid, and I was also on food stamps.
Okay, and so working and being on Medicaid and food stamps. Can you explain a little bit more how it felt? That I mean, did you have opportunities to earn more money?
Yes, I had a lot of opportunities. I could have went and did nails at another school. They would give me more money, or taking on another client, or taking more hours, or working another day. But I didn't take that because I didn't want to lose my benefits.
What did you think would happen if you had? If you said, yes, I'll work more hours, I'll take on more clients, I'll increase my earned income. What did you fear would happen if you had done that?
If I did that, then they would take away my food stamps. It's a summertime kind of thing. So if I took on more clients in the summertime, and I wouldn't get my benefits in the wintertime. So I needed to stay very leveled.
Can you talk about why, I mean, being on benefits, on safety net programs, it's not something that necessarily is fun or easy, but it's something that provides some stability, right? I mean, why did you feel like, well, I can't lose these resources, and so you felt sort of disincentivized from taking those opportunities to work more?
Because if I did take that opportunity, it would just be a little bit of amount of money compared to the big amount of money that I got for food stamps.
So the increase in earned income you would have received from that, whatever you would have lost in this case from food stamps, would have been more than the income gain.
Yes,
is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
How did that feel? Kind of being in a situation where, well, I can't work more because if I do, it'll make my family worse off. What did that feel like?
It felt very degrading, a little bit disappointing as well. So I would rather just not take that extra money and just stay where I was at so that I didn't have to worry about my kid not eating.
Josh, I'm curious to your thoughts on this. As someone who works with folks in circles who kind of sees these experiences, is this kind of a common thing? I mean, do you see it often occurring that people feel, again, sort of this disincentive of, well, if I work more, if I earn more, if I take these economic opportunities, yeah, my earned income might increase. But if there's a disproportionately large loss of benefits on the back end, in general, does this just, in your anecdotal experience, create kind of this feeling of, well, is it even worth it for folks on safety net programs to work and progress if they're facing a cliff?
Yeah, I think Marcella said it well for her situation. We know a friend that we're aware of. She was very proud to get a $2 an hour raise. That's about $330 a month. And that cost her nearly $1,500 a month in benefits. It was in her case, it was childcare and food stamps, and it just wasn't worth it. And it really set her back. In fact, it set her back such that I think she was evicted, and it really spiraled her life so that she had to start over in many ways.
Marcella, can you talk about kind of the desire? I mean, you've talked about your work, and as we were talking offline, you talked about how you have a sense of pride. You like working. There's an excitement. There's just something fulfilling about doing that. I wonder if you can expand on that a little bit. How does it feel to be able to work and progress economically and provide for your family? And then again, I want to kind of put that in context of when these cliff effects occur, or even just a perception of a cliff effect. What does it do to that spirit of desiring work?
It kind of destroys my spirit of work, because what if I make a little bit less than what those benefits are giving me? Or what if I only make enough for this month, but next month I don't make enough, but then I don't get those benefits? So that's kind of scary for me to be like, yes, I want to change my income, but then I have to remember I have kids to take care of.
Josh, I'm curious on your thoughts as well in regards to, again, the folks you work with in circles and just the folks you've interacted with in general in your capacities as an ally, as a volunteer there. In my experience, again, just talking to folks who are on these programs, the vast majority of folks want to work. They want to move towards self-sufficiency. They don't want to be on these programs forever. I'm assuming that's your experience too, Marcella.
I definitely don't want to be on it forever.
And so there's this desire to work and to move towards self-sufficiency. Just want to know what your experience there as well. How would you describe sort of the work ethic and the motivation that these folks have who are on these programs? What's the level of desire to work off of these programs and move towards self-sufficiency? How would you characterize that?
So I've been involved in circles for 2.5 years, so I can't say that I have a lifetime of experience, but the circles community may be unusual from the general poverty population, but in circles, they do not fit the stereotypical image that we see in the media of, oh, they're on poverty, they're on welfare, they're just milking the system and they want to stay there. These benefits are subsistence level. And yes, Marcella wanted to keep those because she wanted her kids fed and such. But the people I've become associated with at circles, and particularly with Marcella, she's very driven, and she wants much more from her life than a subsistence level living. She wants to own a home. She's an entrepreneurial spirit. She wants to have a studio. She's very creative with her art and a number of things where her life has got a lot of optimism and potential. And I just think that's true of what we've seen with others in circles is being on benefits is degrading. It wears on you. The eligibility requirements are demanding, and a lot of people don't want to be on them.
And Marcella, one of the things I want to emphasize, this came up in a previous conversation with another circle leader where we had a similar conversation about just the experience of what it's like participating in these safety net programs and trying to work and progress to be able to move towards self-sufficiency, toward self-sufficiency in a way that can provide for your family to where you don't need benefits anymore. And again, I want to kind of pinpoint this experience of this hunger for work and progression. This is something that came up before, that for people who have that desire that, well, I want to work, I want to progress. I think largely that's built into most folks. Again, I think, as you mentioned, Josh, the stereotype of people who are just totally content to kind of just live off the system, I think if that's true, it's a very small minority of folks who are on these programs. And so if the vast majority of them would say, well, I want to work and get to a point where I'm self-sufficient, but sometimes maybe it feels like these programs that are designed to help and do help make it harder. Marcel, I'd love your take on how would you describe, on the one hand, the very valuable benefit that these programs provide, because they can provide stability, they can provide things that your family needs. And of course, that's a wonderful thing, that we live in a society where we can provide resources for people to help provide that kind of stabilizing effect. But then also that feeling of, well, I don't want to be on these forever. I want to work. I want to be self-sufficient. How would you describe that experience and that feeling of recognizing both the beneficial value of these resources and also the desire to no longer need them at some point?
I think that it's very hard to understand. You have those benefits there for you to, as a safety net, to make sure that you're doing what you need to do. And then the desire to be better at your life and not need those anymore. But you also have that stuck in your head, like, oh, I have to take care of my kids first. And those benefits are more reliable than a job that you might not even get.
And so how do you then navigate that in terms of, as you've just illustrated, going out into kind of the workforce and the job market? As you mentioned, you were working as a nail tech, but what does it take for you to have the confidence or the faith to say that, well, I can move forward economically, I can take this job, I can take this raise or opportunity to work more hours? What is needed to help you get there to where you aren't worried about whether or not you're going to lose certain benefits anymore?
I think it would be better if there was more of a, I'm not really sure how to say it, Josh. Can you help me out?
Well, you've said in the past you wish there was kind of a tapered or a sloped decline.
Yes, that's what I was trying to think.
Just not a big shock.
Yes, not a big shock. Like, there's sometimes I wake up and I don't have none of my benefits because I made a little bit too much this month. But if I did have that little safety net of, okay, she only made this X amount of money, so let's just take away maybe $200 of her food stamps, or maybe trickle down the benefits. I think that would be way better than, I'm sorry, you don't qualify anymore.
Again, that was Nick Dunn of the Sutherland Institute with Marcella Patino and Josh Nilsson of Circle Salt Lake talking about what's known as the benefits cliff. When someone receives a much-needed benefit, whether it's food stamps, as Marcella and Josh were discussing with Nick there, or something like Bragg's wintertime heat assistance program for those who can't afford heat in the wintertime. These are critical services. They can really get someone through a period of hardship. But what happens when the benefit ends? Are we just dumping them off and forgetting about them? Are they in a better spot than they were when they needed the benefit? Have we done anything to help them be in a better spot when they first needed the benefit? I mean, these are really legitimate questions. And of course, left and right are going to disagree on the solutions. But Nick and Sutherland Institute saying we're not even having this conversation very often. What do you think? 753-5868. More of For the People right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU. Discount Tire.
So much more than a tire store.
Tire price sticker shock got you down?
Fear not, your friends at Discount Tire and Automotive got you covered at their 48th anniversary sale. Get up to $160 back when you buy any 4 Michelin tires, or get up to $210 back when you buy any 4 BF Goodrich tires. While you're at it, take advantage of their gas saving services that can save you up to 16% in fuel savings. But hurry, these golden ticket rebates will end before you know it. So don't miss these savings. And remember, you can rest easy knowing you're getting the guaranteed lowest prices, period. Make your tire and service reservations online anytime at webtires.net or stop by Discount Tire, 885 North Main in Logan, 110 South Highway 165 in Providence, and 728 South Main in Smithfield.
Discount Tire. So much more than a tire store.
Have you noticed your furnace filter is extra dirty? John at the Duct Hunter recommends changing your filter every 3 months. If your furnace filter has been consistently dirty, you may want to have your air ducts cleaned too. Make sure you don't fall for the social media scammers. Call a Logan-based business, the Duct Hunter, for a free quote at 435-770-4813.
We are the Duct Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duct Hunter.
Had a caller during the short break there, couldn't stick around to go on air, but a great observation in response to, again, this week's sneak peek of Sutherland Institute's Defending Ideas. Sutherland, a conservative think tank in Salt Lake City, longtime contributors to our show over the last almost couple of decades now. And every week, our listeners get to hear this snippet of Defending Ideas, the Defending Ideas episode, before anyone else does. You can find out more and listen to full episodes at sutherlandinstitute.org. But Kevin on the line there couldn't stick around to go on live, but he said, shouldn't the goal be, trying to do something that keeps people from needing the benefits in the first place? And then Kevin's second thought is, are we willing to pony up the taxpayer dollars to institute, whatever it needs to be when someone is on a benefit, to have them avoid this benefits cliff where it's just cut off? They're in no better situation than they were in the first place. Because as Kevin pointed out, that's going to require something like education uptraining, or helping people find a job, things like that. That's kind of, but I think you have to look big picture, because sometimes we look at the bottom line and only the bottom line for that, specific month. Business owners will tell you this. Sometimes you can get caught up in looking at your balance sheets, running a business on a 30, every 30 days. I'm doing great. But you never step back and look at the big picture. What does 5 years look like? What does 10 years look like? So I think we need to have some of those conversations. Could spending a little more now on safety net programs save us a lot of money 20 years from now? Let's talk about those. I don't know. I'm just a hypothetical question. Let's talk about those things, because the one thing that I get frustrated with both right and left, on the right, sometimes an inability to even acknowledge these safety net benefits are necessary and important. On the left, an inability to talk about changing them in any way or making them work differently. But either way, there are these people like Marcella in this week's episode of Defending Ideas from Sutherland Institute who are in a situation where it can actively discourage them from working more hours at their job because the job doesn't provide enough money to actually cover expenses. So they need the benefits, but they'll lose the benefits if they work too many hours, and they've got to sit and play that game. That's silliness. No one should be playing that game. There's got to be I don't know what it is. I'm not saying that, but there has to be a better system. If you'd like to weigh in, 753-5868. Barring calls or texts from listeners on this topic, on the other side, we'll move along to Senator Mitt Romney's interview, I guess you'd say. Senator Romney sat down for a panel discussion at Georgetown Institute of Politics and Public Service yesterday in Washington, D.C., and he was asked a series of questions from the student body, from the moderator of this conversation, and it was very interesting. They covered everything from ranked choice voting in different states trying to decide to experiment with that or not, the future of Social Security, which Romney has kind of made a key issue of his entire time in the Senate, divisions and disinformation in our campaigns and our politics, the lack of bipartisanship in the Senate and the House. All these topics were discussed, but we're going to start with the opener question, which I thought was funny, for Mitt Romney kind of saying goodbye a little early. He serves until December 31st, but at this Georgetown Institute event, kind of saying goodbye to the Senate, reflecting on a life in politics and public policy. We'll get to that after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
KBNU News is brought to you by Roof Rescue. A 74-year-old Nibley man is headed to prison for sexually assaulting a little girl 5 years ago. Curtis D. Rudd was originally arrested in August 2022 after an investigation by Cache County Sheriff's deputies. Rudd was sentenced Monday in Logan's 1st District Court. He previously accepted a plea deal, pleading guilty to aggravated sexual abuse of a child, a first-degree felony. According to prosecutors, the father of the victim contacted law enforcement after Rudd disclosed the crime to him. The defendant admitted to inappropriately touching the little girl in 2019 while he was caring for the child at his home. The father told Cache County Sheriff's deputies Rudd had first confessed the crime to his church clergy. Multiple family members later verified the defendant had disclosed the same incident to them, saying he made a huge mistake and would probably be going to jail. Deputies determined the juvenile victim would have been an infant at the time of the incident. During Monday's sentencing, defense attorney Wayne Caldwell asked the court for a lighter sentence. He explained how his client had self-reported the crime and had no other criminal history. Cache County Deputy Attorney Ronnie Keller pointed out, though, that Rudd only initially spoke to his religious leader and the victim's family, not law enforcement. He called Rudd's actions egregious. Rudd was sentenced to 10 years to life at the Utah State Correctional Facility. He was led out of the courtroom by bailiffs as his family watched from the gallery. For more than 55 years, the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship, or PATH International, has represented growing numbers of equine-assisted services, including horseback riding, psychotherapy incorporating equines, plus physical, occupational, and speech therapies incorporating horses in treatment. Sarah Anderson, a USU lecturer and recent graduate of USU's Agricultural Extension and Education Master's Program, was honored with the Outstanding Manuscript Award by the American Society of Agricultural and Biological Engineers. Her winning manuscript focuses on creating an objective way to assess horses in equine-assisted services to ensure they are safe. Through her research, she discovered there is no standard that highlights the need to prove horses are safe for PATH patrons. In response, Anderson used heart rate monitors to evaluate horses and create a method to objectively rate each horse for safety on a 0 to 3 scale, 0 indicating unsafe, 1 meaning not suitable for beginner lessons, 2 meaning most likely suitable for beginner lessons, and 3 showing absolutely suitable for beginner lessons. KBNU weather brought to you by Canyon Landscaping, creating livable landscapes for your new or existing yard. Give them a call, 752-3838. Areas of smoke tonight, otherwise mostly clear, low in the upper 50s, and then hazy sunshine with patchy smoke tomorrow, high around 90. Get more news at CacheValleyDaily.com.
ABC News, I'm Daria Albinger. Vice President Harris on stage in Atlanta at her largest campaign rally to date. Among the guests, rapper Megan Thee Stallion. The Trump campaign targeting the presumptive Democratic nominee in its biggest ad buy in months, saying Harris failed in her role of handling immigration issues under President Biden. Senators on both sides of the aisle at today's Judiciary and Homeland Security Committee hearing say they are not satisfied with Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle's resignation. They want a fundamental restructuring of the agency after the attempted assassination of the former president.
I agree with the acting director's position that there should be further accountability held. And so, no, I don't think that was enough.
California Democrat LaFonza Butler, the Senate's overwhelmingly passed legislation which is designed to protect children and teens online. Its future is uncertain in the House. This is ABC News.
Roof Rescue is your local roof specialist, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry no matter the weather. Their team of experienced roofers is here to serve you, providing top quality service at affordable prices. From minor repairs to complete roof replacements, they've got you covered. Remember, your roof is your first line of defense in protecting your family from the elements. So don't wait until the next storm to discover your roof problems. Call Roof Rescue today at 435-999-4268. They're your trusted local roofing experts, here to keep your home safe and dry. Roof Rescue, celebrating 10 years of providing watertight peace of mind.
Are you in need of excellent surgical care? Budge Clinic General Surgery offers the future of surgery with state-of-the-art robotic-assisted procedures. From cancer treatments to surgical needs, they've got you covered. Call Budge Clinic General Surgery today, 435-716-1950, to schedule a consultation and experience the best possible outcome. Trust Doctors Anderson, Marshall, McKenna, and Peterson, the experts at Budge Clinic General Surgery, helping people live the healthiest lives possible.
Wonder is timeless. Discovery is everlasting. And exploration is never-ending. At Loveland Living Planet Aquarium, we cherish the unforgettable memories you've shared with us for the past 25 years. Thank you for being a part of our story. Visit livingplanetaquarium.org to embark on a new adventure and continue our journey together.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. As the Harris campaign ramps up in a hurry ahead of next month's convention and the November election, a look at the political landscape for women. Also, there's a coming retirement boom and multiple industries are going to take a hit. Find out which ones will suffer most. And the wealthy investors choosing investments other than stocks and bonds. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Just got some sad news from a friend during the break there. And, well, in case that friend is listening, or regarding a friend during the break there, a friend's family, rather. In case that friend is listening, I'm thinking of you. And Mary Jean, one of my favorite people on the planet, will be missed. I caught this a couple of weeks ago as Senator Mitt Romney, the announcement went out that Senator Mitt Romney was going to be part of this Georgetown Institute of Public Policy and Service, and then I forgot. If you didn't put it on my calendar, I was hoping to catch the live stream of this because the plan was they were going to sit Senator Romney down and in an unscripted forum in front of the student body of Georgetown University, and members of faculty from the Institute of Politics and Public Service there at Georgetown, the media, other senators, the public from Washington, D.C. that might just see a sign and wandering off the street. And they were just going to sit him down on a stage and start talking to him. No plan, no agenda, no overarching theme. And I thought that is probably going to be interesting because several months ago, I listened to the audiobook of McKay Coppin's The Reckoning. The story of Romney's life, dating back to how he was influenced by his father's experience in politics to his own rise up through political circles into a governorship. And then, of course, probably most known by most Americans as the candidate in the 2012 presidential race for the Republican Party. And here in Utah, United States Senator for the last 5.5 years. He didn't decide to seek re-election this year. And he is going to hang up his hat, not just from the United States Senate seat here in Utah, but he says politics and public policy at large. He said it's time for younger people, and it's time for him to go and enjoy his grandkids, he said in the announcement late last year, just before Christmas. But since then, we've seen this kind of, loosened tie, a little bit more off the cuff, a little more bluntly honest Mitt Romney. And that is very apparent in the book, The Reckoning. If you haven't listened to it, do. It's an interesting look at the last few years in politics in general, but and Romney's life, of course, his personal life and his what drove him into the public policy and politics realm. But also, as I said, when I wrapped up the book, I was furious, not at Romney or McCoppins, the author, or anything like that. I was furious at how many cowards are in powerful positions in this country, because Romney pulls no punches, and sometimes even names names, talking with McKay for the book. And he details these situations where someone would have a long conversation with him in the halls of the Senate or back in an office somewhere, and then that weekend he'd see him on CNN or Fox saying exactly the opposite with a straight face. And he said that was really off-putting to him. He didn't know how to deal with that level of dishonesty. And people would tell him, hey, this is the game you got to play. Romney also kind of known after that presidential run as a flip-flopper, and that's addressed in the book too. And he changed my mind on him on that one. Well, I'll be honest with you. Having him in the studio a couple of times over the years changed my mind on it. I've honestly never met a person more authentic outside of maybe Paul Miro. As you know, I'm talking guests we've had in the studio, just a very authentic person. And that wasn't conveyed in that 2012 presidential campaign at all. I asked him about that, by the way, in the studio, and Romney said, you know what? Nobody's ever run for president before. Few people, he said, have ever run for president before. So you come at it with no experience, and you're surrounded by people who have some, and you assume they know what they're talking about. And that was where he left it. But the implication being maybe they didn't, and maybe that's the way he came across that way. But yeah, I found him to be a very sincere person the couple of times he's been here in the studio, and I'm a pretty good judge of that after all these years. So it surprised me, that contradiction between the public image I was known or thought I'd known and who the person was. That comes up in this discussion as well. So just a little clip from this conversation with now retiring United States Senator Mitt Romney from Utah at the Georgetown Institute of Politics and Public Service at Georgetown University. And I love,
nice.
I honestly, it is so funny to me, the opening question.
I was talking with Liz, your chief of staff, earlier today, and we were just talking about some of the themes I wanted to discuss. And with everything that's going on in the world, internationally, here at home, a lot of the dysfunction that we're seeing in government today leads me to, I think, what might be the most pressing question of the night, which is, are you rethinking the whole booze thing as a result of all this?
I know you want to start off talking about a number of different things, but I just think we need to recognize right now the tragedy that's occurring in the Middle East, the many Israelis that were killed purposefully in many cases, a horrific manner, and the people that were kidnapped. It tears at your heart. At the same time, there was a large number of Palestinians killed accidentally today. I don't know whether you saw that or not. Uncertainty as to what the source was of that tragedy, but a hospital was hit and hundreds apparently have been killed. The Israeli government points out that it is actually not Hamas. People thought maybe a Hamas rocket. It's actually a group called Islamic Jihad, that about a third of their rockets in the past have landed within the Gaza Strip. And Israeli government says that's the source of it. Of course, the Hamas is saying, no, it's the Israelis. So we don't have full information at this stage. But I think we have to acknowledge the extraordinary tragedy associated with the invasion of Israel and the resultant loss of life and suffering that's going on in the Middle East.
That was a fascinating opener for me. The host cracks a joke, and Romney laughs at the joke, plays along like any human being would, and then instantly launches into this foreign policy lecture of sorts, trying to leave the audience a bit more educated about some of the things going on in the world. That's really, I think, become Mitt Romney's thing. Dating back to all of us laughing at him when he said long before the reality rose that Russia was our greatest geopolitical threat. Everybody said, what are you talking about? This country is imploded. They have no economy. It turns out he was right, because in today's day and age, you don't need a solid economy or even a robust military to engage in a disruption around the globe. And Romney kind of pressured on that one, but everybody laughed at the time. But it turns out this guy's kind of a geopolitical expert as a hobby. The next part of the conversation, though, is a little more serious. They get into the current, what is kind of referred to as the disinformation age we live in, and how it influences the policy process, not just elections.
Divided as a nation than we've been in a long, long time. Obviously, we were most divided during the Civil War, but we're highly divided now. And I think the reason for that is that our media has moved from a setting where there were editors and fact checkers, and where if you're a crackpot with a crazy theory of some kind, you're probably not going to get it published in any kind of a way that's going to get picked up by the public at large. Because, 20 years ago, people read newspapers and magazines and looked at the evening news. Those things were all carefully vetted in most respects by editors, fact checkers, and so forth. That's gone. You guys are getting your news, certainly as I do now, by going on my device. That's curated for me, and I'm seeing stories, many cases I agree with, some I don't agree with. But oftentimes what I'm seeing in social media, there are no fact checkers, there are no editors, and if I have a really crazy crackpot theory, just absolutely, completely wild out there, I can put it out there and get millions of hits. I can get a lot of people seeing it. Well, that was not possible. And the people who are influencers, if you will, and have the biggest following are people who are angry and are pointing out the foibles in the other side. And interestingly, we're drawn to those things as human beings. And so politicians have begun to reflect that, hey, if you want to get support, you want to get money for your campaign, your next campaign, the more outrageous thing you say, the more likely it is that you're going to have people following you.
Again, this was Romney discussing the state of things in what was supposed to be kind of a farewell conversation as he hangs up his hat December 31st as a United States Senator and has said, don't expect to see him in the public policy and politics. Again, he said it's time for younger people to fill those roles, and he said it's time for him to spend time with his grandkids. And so what was planned to be kind of a lighthearted conversation turned very serious several times. It's fascinating to watch. And by the way, I've linked to this courtesy of C-SPAN on our Facebook page, but I thought I'd play for our listeners just a couple of highlights from this kind of a few months early, but exit interview, if you will, from the United States Senate with Senator Mitt Romney and hosts from the Georgetown University's Institute of Politics and Public Service in Washington, D.C. One final part of this was a clip from later on in the conversation with Romney and the host on stage and students and the student body and the media and other senators are there. They flashed to a couple of them in the audience. And some people who just walked in off the street because they saw a sign, they actually Romney interacts with them for a little bit. Really informal conversation. And one more clip from that. Romney talks about the state of the two parties, and he says he right now doesn't feel like he has a political home in either.
Well, I don't recognize mine. I
was trying to be bipartisan in the question, Senator.
I've never recognized yours. But mine has changed. I mean, I don't have a political home these days, and there are a lot of folks who feel the same way. I don't agree with the, if you will, the Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren wing of the Democratic Party, and the fact that they were so successful. I mean, had it not been for South Carolina and the courage of one brave Democrat congressman, Joe Biden would not have been the nominee of the Democratic Party, and Bernie Sanders might have been the nominee and could have been president. And let me tell you, the economic vision that Bernie Sanders has would not allow America to be the hope of the earth or to have a military that could defend us. Our debt would go absolutely through the roof. Our economy would slow down. There's just a lot of things I think that he and his cohort of the Democratic Party would do that would very badly damage the country and your future. At the same time, on our side of the aisle, look, our party is overwhelmingly dominated by Donald Trump. And while there are a number of policies where he and I agree, on the matter of his character, And people say, oh, it's his style. It's not his style. It's character. On a matter of character and the values that he exudes and communicates to the people of America, he is badly off base and is doing great damage. So, we have, I think approximately 70% of Republicans still say that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. It's like, are we going to abandon truth to that degree? I mean, it's absolutely absurd.
That was, again, Senator Mitt Romney speaking at the Georgetown University's Institute of Public Policy in what was planned to be a reflection on his career and the state of politics that we're currently in as he leaves the Senate on December 31st. And it became something a lot more than that, with Romney literally at one point loosening the tie. But rhetorically, the tie is loose from the start, just letting it fly. This is a person, of course, not running for re-election. Most of his personal agenda as a senator, which was, a couple of foreign policy things, some tax policy stuff, and putting in place what he hopes, he says, are some mechanisms to start driving down the debt. That he said, that's what I wanted to do. I feel like I've achieved that to the extent that it was possible in the current United States Senate. And he says he's very proud of the infrastructure bill and the money that meant for Utah, which is now being put to use quickly here in Utah. But then he has these moments where he just kind of, you don't see this often, and again, whether you agree with him or not, you don't see this unscripted, unworried about re-election, off-the-cuff honesty from politicians anymore. They're so polished because they're so afraid, as Romney mentioned, about being the most angry and the loudest right now is a good way to fundraise for re-election. That's why Senator Mike Lee has that Twitter account. That's why you see, people trying to win the favor of influencers that don't even understand or follow politics and public policy, left and right. That's happening. It's weird, to be honest with you, to see it. And Romney saying, just what he thinks, again, whether you agree or disagree, it was kind of refreshing. I don't agree with a lot that he says, but it was refreshing to see somebody just not really care if they stirred up trouble within their party. I think if we saw more of that from Republicans and Democrats alike, we'd end up with healthier parties. Give it a watch. C-SPAN has the whole thing. It's about 2 hours long, so warning before you commit, but it ranges from everything from ranked choice voting, which, by the way, Romney's not really a fan, to the Electoral College. Romney is a fan. And the filibuster, Romney is really a fan. The future of Social Security, election security, foreign affairs, and international policy. Romney is asked at a certain point about the idea of running as a candidate for a third party. He reiterates, his time in politics is done. But he also says something I wholeheartedly believe, and it was so great to hear a prominent U.S. politician echo this in his own words. But Romney basically says, look, take third party seriously when they start taking themselves seriously. I have said exactly that for years. It is a really unique conversation. And again, you won't agree with everything. I didn't. But it's nice to see a politician being a human being once in a while. Go check it out. I've linked to it on our Facebook page, and we'll be back right after this.
Fatigue, headaches, weight gain, hair loss, insomnia, anxiety, intestinal issues, joint pain. Do you suffer from consistent symptoms like these, and no matter how many doctors you see, things still don't improve? Whether you have a thyroid problem, an autoimmune issue, or chronic symptoms, we can help. We do complex medical testing and blood work to find the mechanisms driving your symptoms. And then we create a plan to improve each one while we teach you the tools to stay on top of your health. We've been helping patients just like you for almost 14 years now. We see patients from all over the world, and we have an office here in St. George, Logan, Salt Lake, Farmington, and Springville. You aren't crazy, you aren't lazy. It's not just because you're getting older, and these symptoms are not normal. No matter what symptoms you have, you shouldn't feel this way, and we can help. Don't accept Band-Aid answers.
Call Red River Health and Wellness at 855-55-RIVER.
Call Red River today.
Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat and the Allergy Clinic now have an office located inside the Miller Medical Building in Tremonton. Every Friday, Northern Utah's premier ear, nose, and throat medical physicians and staff will provide Box Elder County a better option to be seen. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat and the Allergy Clinic are now located in Tremonton. Save time, schedule your appointment today. Go to CacheValleyENT.com. That's CacheValleyENT.com for details. Most insurance products, including SelectMed, are accepted.
Grasshopper and other pest problems? Here's Chad the lawn doctor with a solution.
Grasshoppers are a problem again this year. It's been mentioned and written about in the news and by experts. Watch for the baby nymphs initially, and then as they develop to adults, they feed on vegetation both on the farms and in your gardens at home. Treatment is best early on, but can be treated at any time. Enjoy your summer nights, barbecues, and parties with our Yard Armor Pest Control Service that controls grasshoppers, mosquitoes, spiders, wasps, and other insects. Give us a call at 435-753-LAWN or find us at LawnDoctorCacheValley.com.
Keeping my promise here to wrap up every show when I remember to on a more positive note when the news has been kind of heavy or serious, and doing that with a pretty heartwarming story, an unbelievable story about Gizmo, the pet dog. Back in 2015, a woman named Judith Monarez, then 28 years old, living with her parents in Las Vegas, when her dog, Gizmo, a little terrier, white terrier, slipped the backyard gate and ran away. She never saw him again. 9 years later, she gets a call from a shelter across the country. They scanned the microchip on a white terrier that was turned in. Someone found him on the street, and it flagged Judith's contact information. They gave her a call. She's now driving cross country to pick up her dog. 9 years later, found across the country. It's the coolest story. Link to the AP details on how this all happened on our Facebook page. That's our show for today. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Be back with us tomorrow. We'll be talking about the Providence Sauerkraut Festival.